Welcome to Nicholas 11x12. Today I'm looking at an extremely interesting mechanical gaming keyboard. The KKmoon Z-77 is a mechanical one featuring blue switches and now, hold on tight, comes in at a price point of about $63. The most affordable mechanical keyboard I've ever laid my hands on so far. In this video we'll find out if it's worth it and if there generally is much of a difference noticeable compared to more expensive models in the market. Thanks a lot to TOMTOP for providing me this one to review. The box is kept very simple in design and there's not a whole lot in it too. Just the keyboard itself, a wrist rest, and last but not least, the user's manual along with two so-called nails to keep the wrist rest in place. The KKmoon Z-77 is a really simple looking keyboard, something I always like, although in this case I will admit it's a bit too minimalistic. The keyboard would make a bit of a more professional impression if the keys were covered up a bit better, mainly on the top and on the sides. But what immediately caught my eye was the brushed aluminum finish on the top here. It is in fact aluminum. That's a plus point to me. The wrist rest unfortunately is not very easy to attach, and at some point I feared I was going to break a part of it during the process. But once it's all in place, no issues. The two nails for extra security are held in place by small magnets. The wrist rest itself is a bit small for my taste, but that's a matter of preference. It has a nice texture to it though, and one thing to note is, unlike the top of the keyboard, it's not out of metal but plastic, which doesn't bother me though. The dimensions of the KKmoon Z-77 are 455 by 175 by 24 millimeters. The USB cable is about 1.8 meters long and is not braided, understandable at that price point. On the bottom of this Z-77 we find 5 little rubber feet, 3 more with the ones on the wrist rest, and 2 stands. Unfortunately lacking rubber feet, which is very disappointing to me. The keyboard therefore slides away quite easily on the desk when typing a bit more intensely. Besides, these stands are incorrectly oriented, which only makes this issue worse. The KKmoon Z-77 makes use of blue switches that can take about 50 million keystrokes. These switches usually are a bit louder and have a more tactile feel to them. I can confirm that, but I can tell you the typing feel is by far not as satisfying as with more expensive blue switches. There seems to be that empty gray area between actuation and release. I don't like that, not very smooth. Also, they are very loud, too loud for blue switches. So hands off if you want a quiet keyboard. The key layout is good, no complaints, but the top first row seems to be placed a bit too low. Not a big issue though. A 6 key rollover is featured here, as well as a white LED backlight. The weight is 1,111 grams, so indeed a bit heavy, but that's good. The build quality is pretty good, I have to say. This keyboard does not come with any software. All the programming is done on board. Macro recording is an option, but it's very complicated with many confusing key combinations. Something I especially like on this Z-77 are the 12 easy access multimedia keys. Computer, or this PC in newer Windows versions, search, calculator, music app, play pause, backward forward, stop, volume up down, mute, and of course a winlock key. We also have some secondary functions for some keys such as LED lighting saving keys, LED macro key, macro saving keys, LED brightness up down, as well as a LED mode key. For $63, I'm surprised to see so many different cool lighting effects. We don't see that very often, not even that often on keyboards that cost twice as much as this one. So hats off to KKmoon for adding in so many of them. At this point of my review, this KKmoon keyboard really seems to score well, especially when it comes down to the price-performance ratio. But I ran into a huge problem that makes this keyboard unusable to me and pretty much everyone else. Writing something or even gaming can therefore be a real struggle. I tried doing software tweaks within Windows and even tried different computers with older hardware and older operating systems, but it's all in vain. It's the keyboard itself. But I can only talk from my specific sample, others might work just fine, I don't know. But I'm not sure if it's wise to take that risk purchasing the Z-77. After all, it's $63, that's still quite a lot of money. On the other hand, who knows, the next model and the next 100 might work just fine. Other than that, if everything worked fine, I would have given this keyboard my silver award, but since my KKmoon Z-77 didn't work as it was intended to, I can't give it any award, unfortunately. Still, I want to thank TOMTOP for sending me this keyboard and making this video possible. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and visit my website to see videos there earlier than on YouTube.